back with another Path of Exile 2 video. Let's go for Monk 3.0. So, level 93, 3,399 energy shield, 1,377 life. This is going to change. I'm trying to get a energy shield and evasion hybrid build, but it's a lot harder than it was in League 1. So we're probably going to look at maybe going towards just a pure energy shield build and see if I can get to around about 8,000-9,000 energy shield, or maybe look at seeing how I can take Wind Dancer to boost the evasion up. If Sacrifice wasn't on both slots, this would be really, really easy because you just put Sacrifice on one, get another Unset Ring, take Wind Dancer, jobs are good on. But we'll just have to see. So, Fire, Lightning, and Cold resistances are all 75%. Chaos is 42%. I do plan to take Chaos Inoculation at some point. Like I said, I'm just working on getting the gear. It's stupidly expensive at the moment. Right, let's have a look at the skills. So we have Quarterstaff Strike up here. This is just basically where I keep some of the skills that I like to test out. So we have Skeleton Warrior, that's on the other side for the minions. Stormwave, we have this with Rapid Attacks, Elemental Armament, Pinpoint Critical, Rage, and Branching Fissures. You may notice that I've gone from Ice Strike to Stormwave. If anyone's seen me in 0.2, I played Stormwave and Flicker Strike. And yeah, it's just so much better. You're less likely to be in the ads. You're less likely to get killed or stunned or frozen or anything like that because you're at a distance, and you can hit a few storm waves, then flicker into the rest of the ads, and it just carries you through the map. Flicker Strike, we have Perpetual Charge, Hit and Run, Momentum, Pinpoint Critical, and Ancestral Call. Ancestral Call allows it to be ancestrally boosted, which gives you 30% more damage, 25% more area effect, and the strike will target 2 additional enemies. The change in Flicker Strike was it used to chance not to consume power charges, now it's critical hit chance. This was a bad thing originally, but then you put Cast on Crit with Profane Ritual. Flicker Strike pretty much goes to, 97%. I get some power charges, and my Flicker Strike is at 100%. My Stormwave, 100%. And this is through the addition of something further down. So we've got Herald of Ash with Magnified Area, Fire Mastery, and Compressed Duration. And then this is the reason why Flicker can get pretty much 100% all the time. Charge regulation, so you have 25% more critical hit chance while you have a power charge, 19% more defenses while you have an endurance charge, and then 15% more skill speed when you have a frenzy charge. So you cast your minions, cast your Profane Ritual, and as you can see here, it gives me an endurance charge. So that means that now with this endurance charge, I have 19% more defenses. Okay, so my energy shield's gone up and stuff like that. With the power charge, it now means I have 100% crit chance and 100% crit chance. So every time that I do either Stormwave or Flicker Strike, I will crit, which will then activate Cast on Crit, which will then proc Profane Ritual, which will then give me my power charges back. And yeah, it's just a cycle that repeats. Then we've got Cast on Critical. Remember to quality it. Cast on Critical at max quality lowers your spirit from 100 to 90. So make sure you quality it. We've got with Profane Ritual, Frost Wall, Snap, Energy Retention, and Boundless Energy. So Frost Wall is very, very good. If you see in the videos, when I've hit my Stormwave, you'll see like the wall pop up. This wall will then shatter because of Snap, which will then leave Lightning, Fire, and Cold infusions around, which then will allow me to infuse my Frost Wall with Lightning Infusion. I was running Comet, but I found that the Comet delay was too much, especially with Flicker Strike. I was flickering and then the Comet was coming down after. On bosses, it was very, very good because it was just instant. It was bang, 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 bang. But around maps, when you're jumping around, yeah, it just wasn't very good. So I am playing around with it. I have used multiple different skills in it. So far, Frost Wall seems to be the best one, just because of when it shatters. When it shatters and it's lightning infused, it just creates huge explosions, procs Herald of Thunder, which then procs Herald of Ash, which then causes more infusions. And yeah, it's just like a big elemental explosion. Then we have Sacrifice. Sacrifice with just a support minion skill. So this is how you get your power charges. So you need Sacrifice on, because then you use Sacrifice and Profane Ritual, which will then give you your power charges. Then we have Profane Ritual with Rapid Casting for more cast speed, Magnified Area, Unleash, which gives you the extra 2 down here. So when I do my corpses, I'll release 2 instead of 1. Then we have Charge Profusion to randomly gain an additional charge and then gain a random charge. So this is how I'm gaining like endurance or frenzy charges. Compressed Duration, which lowers your cast time, your duration. So the less time that this is out, the quicker you get your charges back. Then we've got Infernal Cry with Second Wind, Raging Cry, Enraged Warcry, Magnified Area, and Blind. So the reason why we have Enraged Warcry is supports war cries expend 15 rage by bypassing their cooldown instead of an endurance charge. So we'll go up to Stormwave. Stormwave gives me 5 rage on melee hit, and then I get 15% more attack speed while I'm not at maximum rage. Maximum rage is 30, so what I do is I will just do Raging Cry. You can do it twice. I could do it again if I want to, if I have 15 rage, which will then knock my rage down from 30 down to 15, which will then give me 15% more attack speed, and it'll give me the damage boost based off the Infernal Cry. So yeah, they work hand in hand. And then finally, we have Herald of Thunder with Elemental Armament, Overreach, Frozen Spite, which triggers ice fragments on killing frozen enemies, Freeze, and Ambush. Just realised I didn't go through Charge Staff. We've got Prolonged Duration, Perpetual Charge, Culling Strike, Innovate, and Living Lightning. Living Lightning triggers like these little lightning things that fly around. They're really, really good. They seem to carry a charge very, very well. And to be fair, with Stormwave, I could probably remove Flicker Strike. Flicker Strike's mainly there for bossing and getting around the map quicker, but I can clear maps with Stormwave easily. So let's go into the gear. So we've got a Quarterstaff with critical hit chance, physical damage, lightning damage, attack speed, attack skills level, so +6, and then cold damage. With Quarterstaffs, I'd recommend probably getting a bolting Quarterstaff with probably cold and physical, fire and physical, or fire and cold, because then you'll get your lightning damage on it. It has really, really high lightning damage, but they are expensive. Also, socket gain 10% of damage as extra damage of all elements. That gives you your highest amount of DPS. Then I've changed from a energy shield helmet, so as you can see up here, to a evasion helmet. Gives me 1 to power charges, so that allows me to have 8 power charges, as you can see. So I'll go to 8. Then we have that with triple resists. We've got Serpent's Egg. Serpent's Egg is the one that gives me the extra power charges as well. So every time you gain 1 charge, you gain an additional charge. So if you gain 1, you'll gain 2, etc., etc. All right, and we've anointed this with Harness of the Elements, which gives me 20% increased damage for each type of elemental ailment on the enemy. I have Shock, I have Ignite, I have Freeze on the enemies, so I'm getting an extra 60% increased damage. Then we have an Unset Ring with flat damage, percentage damage, elemental resistances, and mana leech. The chest piece, we have this with straight energy shield, some resistances, and this here, X amount of percentage, increase spirit reservation efficiency of skills. So what this does is this takes off this number, so minus 10%, off the spirit cost. So Herald of Ice is 30 spirit, for me it's 27. Charge regulation, 27. Cast on crit is 100 spirit, but you take the 10% off it, which puts it to 90, and then you take a further 10% off it, which is 81. Sacrifice is 54, and then Herald of Thunder is 27 again. So this is how I'm able to run 30, 90, 180, 210, 240 spirit worth of 240 spirit worth of skills on only 223 spirit. Don't sleep on this. This is a very, very good suffix on your chest. For those people struggling to get spirit, find a chest with this. The more energy shield or the more evasion and stuff you have on the chest, the more overall spirit you're going to have. The higher the percentage, the more spirit that's going to be conserved, which means the more spirit you're going to have as well. If you get a really, really, really high energy shield chest and this with 12%, you could probably put 280 spirit worth of stuff on for around about 250 spirit. It's great. Then we've got a breach ring with flat fire, and then we've got percentage to cold and lightning, and then element resistances, fire resistance, and mana regen. I'm going to change this breach ring. I want a triple flat, triple percentage, or triple flat, triple resist. But again, it's expensive. Then we got the gloves. These were 5 divine, which is funny because the actual talisman costs more than the gloves. So these have just got flat damage, critical damage bonus, attack speed, and then 100% increased effect to socketed items. For a set of gloves, I would look for critical damage bonus, flat attack, 100% increased effect to socketed items, and if you can, +2 to all melee skills. The higher that you can get flicker up, the more damage it's going to do. But it starts going into stupid amounts of money. So I looked at one with physical cold, 29% critical damage bonus, 100% increased socket effect, and melee skills, and it is around about 15, 16 divine, something I don't have. Belt, just triple resist, got the chaos resistance on there. I do have the other belt, the unique one, where it counts as your gloves, but at the moment I'm trying to keep my resists up high. I'll probably look at changing that eventually. Then we've got boots with high evasion rating and then triple resist again and 30% movement speed. Down here we've got some charms. So this is just when I'm ignited, I gain ignited ground. When I'm poisoned, I get health recovery. And then, not sure if this works, but when I'm stunned, I defend with armor, but I don't have any armor. So 0% of 200% of 0 is still 0. So I don't know if it's just going to give me 200% armor to defend, or it's 200% of my armor. I'm just going to try it, see if it works. I did have this energy shield and evasion chest with 5% movement speed and resistances. And again, you've got the spirit reservation down there. You can pick these up for next to nothing. Like I picked that up for around about, I think it was like 6 div. This helmet was with power charges, I think it was 3 div. The boots were 2 div. So that's only 11 div there. That was around about 12, and then these were 5. So I'm not even over 30 div yet, which is very, very cheap, for especially this late on in the league. And then in weapon set 2, we have the Dark Defiler. So this gives me 5% of chaos damage on per undead minion. So when I do my minions, as you can see, my damage goes up, and then I'll activate my charge staff, and my damage will go up again. Then we have a Effigy of Cruelty Focus. Not too sure if this is working, but I do have critical hits with spells apply 3 stacks of critical weakness. That is why you may see that I have cast on critical on weapon set 2 as well as weapon set 1. I hope it's working. I have seen a massive increase in my damage since doing this, but I don't know if it's just a placebo. I will do more testing, and I'll leave a comment, a pinned comment, if it works or if it doesn't. But critical weakness would basically increase your critical hit chance and make them critical weak, which means you do more damage overall. And at the sacrificing of what, a couple of minions, it's a win-win situation. So the skill tree. This is what's changed the most. I've finally gone into using weapon set 1 and weapon set 2. If you don't know how to use weapon set 1 and weapon set 2, you need to just play around with it and have a go. Everything that's in red is weapon set 1, everything that's in green is in weapon set 2. What I found when I was playing was minions, the initial bit. So let's say you're going to fight Zest and you get your minions, activate all them, get your power charges, activate your staff. You go fight Zest. You don't kill Zest in one go, and then you swap back to your minions, and your minions are on cooldown. What do you do then? You have to run around, panic, try and hit him with just your normal attack, avoid his hands, etc. But so I just basically typed into here minion, and then found and went and checked every single one of these skills to see what was the best. So as you can see on weapon set 2, I have Gravedigger, which allows me to revive my minions faster, which is 15% faster. And then I have Reform Barrier, which gives me energy shield recharge when the minions have reformed. Reformed basically means when they are revived. So if you are struggling, they will revive, give me energy shield recharge. And then I have Restless Dead, which gives me 25% chance. Sorry, 25% revival. So you add them two together, you've got 40% faster revival of minions. So Monk, we have Lead Me Through Grace. This is the backbone of the Invoker. You need to take this. It's 1 spirit for every 8 energy shield and 1 spirit for 20 evasion on the body armor. More energy shield, more spirit. More evasion, more spirit. Evasion and energy shield, more spirit. Then we've got Iron the Blizzard and Iron the Thunder, which gives you extra damage as cold and lightning, and you create chill ground and shock ground. And then we have Sunder by Enemies, which critical hits ignore non-negative enemy monster elemental resistances. I always crit. Like literally every single hit I do will crit. So therefore I will always be ignoring monster elemental resistances. So we have taken Flow Like Water for attack speed and cast speed, Mindful Awareness for evasion and energy shield, Step Like the Mist for more movement speed and mana regen, Essence of the Mountain for damages extra cold, and then freeze build-up, Crashing Wave if you've dealt a critical hit in the past 8 seconds, so it's 36% increased damage if you've dealt a critical hit. I always deal critical hits, so I'm always getting 36% increased damage. Just like to add, with the freeze build-up here, you could probably take Embitter on Flicker Strike. So Embitter allows you to not cause freeze build-up on your Flicker Strike, but it will consume the freeze on it to gain 40% increased damage. So it's entirely up to you. Ancestral Call will give you 30% more damage, and then, or you can get an extra 10% with Embitter. Play around with it, see which one works best for you. I was running Embitter for a while, and then I've gone back to Ancestral Call because I like the fact that it branches off and strikes multiple enemies. So if you slow like the videos down, you can actually see Flicker like hitting like 1 or 2 enemies as it's flicking around. And if you flick for 3 seconds, That's an extra two enemies, which then you could cause big explosions and shatter. Ancestrally boosting is very, very good. So we move up here and we've got concussive attacks for 25% attack damage and 5% chance to daze. Power Within for critical damage bonus if you consumed a power charge recently, and then +1 to power charges, so this helps me get to the 8. Critical Exploit for 25% increased critical hit chance. Melding for 40% increased maximum energy shield. We get a reduced maximum mana, but it's fine, as mana's fine. Dampening Shield for more energy shield, and ailment and stun threshold equal to 12% of the energy shield. Pure Energy for more energy shield and intelligence. Down here we take Siphon, which recovers 2% of maximum mana on kill and 25% increased amount of mana leached. I'm going to try see if I can remove that, because my mana seems to be fine with how much leech I actually have. I don't really run out of mana, so I'll play around with it. If you are struggling, keep it on there. Then we have Lust for Power, which gives you 10% chance to gain a power charge, to gain an additional one. So that 10% chance, it's a big chance. And then we have Blinding Strike, which gives you 24% increased attack damage and then 10% chance to blind enemies with attacks. If you take this up here, Distract a Target, you get 50% increased critical hit chance. It's a huge damage buff. And then we come up here and I have a Megalomaniac Diamond with Rapid Strike, which gives me 8% melee attack speed and 30 to my accuracy. The Fabled Stag, which gives me 40% increased endurance, frenzy, and power charge duration, 10 dexterity, and then it has a chance not to remove charges. And then Burnout, which ignites, you inflict, deal 15% damage faster. The main one I wanted there was this Fabled Stag, because of 40% increased endurance, frenzy, and power charges works very, very well with charge regulation, because as you can see there, it says consumes 1 charge every 12.4 seconds. The longer that my charge stay up, the more that this will consume the charges. If I've got 3 charges and they last 30 seconds, that means that roughly I can consume the 3 charges without them expiring. If I've got 3 charges and they only last 10 seconds, the charge regulation is not going to be able to consume as many. Then we take True Strike for increased critical hit chance and dexterity. For the Jugular for more critical damage bonus and intelligence. And then Deadly Force for 30% increased damage if you dealt a critical hit in the past 8 seconds. I do critical hits all the time. I've changed this to give me more critical hit chance. I might swap it back to give me more damage on the damage on critical, because that critical hit chance will lower my critical hit chance by like 2%, but I can gain an extra 20% increased damage if I've dealt one recently. So we'll have a look. Yeah, so my critical hit chance for my Flicker is now 94.21, but as soon as I get a power charge, my critical hit chance for Flicker is 100%, and then that gives me an extra 20% increased damage if you dealt a critical hit recently. So every time I'm hitting, I'm going to get an extra 50% increased damage. Then we go up here and we take Overflowing Power for +2 to maximum power charges, up to take Careful Assassin, which reduces your critical damage bonus but increases your critical hit chance, up to Shimmering Mirage, can give you ailment threshold equal to 30% of your energy shield, so this will stop you from getting frozen so much or ignited and stuff like that. Then we've got a Dual Socket with Zealot's Oath, which is over in here, which gives us 25% increased damage on these 3 nodes, so that's 75% increased attack damage. Then we have Throat Seeker, which gives you increased critical damage bonus and reduced critical hit chance. If you are struggling to get critical hit chance, remove Throat Seeker and then take some critical hit chance nodes. Then we take One with the Storm, which gives you power charges as consuming an extra power charge. Martial Artistry, which gives you more accuracy and more critical damage bonus. Willing Assault, which gives you more attack speed and it knocks them back with critical hits. Walker of the Wilds, basically mana is recovered based on elemental damage instead of physical. It's huge. That's how you get so much of your mana regen. The Fabled Stag, which is from the Anointment. Stopping for more critical hit chance. Struck Through for +1 to critical hit chance for each attack. Heartbreaking for 25% increased critical damage bonus. And then down here to get Coming Calamity for 40% increased cold, fire, and lightning damage when you're affected by Herald of Ice, Herald of Ash, and Herald of Thunder. We are affected by Herald of Thunder and Herald of Ash, so therefore we will get the 80% increased damage. If you have high crit chance and high defenses and stuff like that, and more skill speed, you could probably remove charge regulation and put Herald of Ice on, which will then give you a triple Herald build, which will then increase your damage again by 40%. So in total, you'll have an extra 120% damage, which is a huge amount of damage at the cost of some crit chance. So, like I said, it's entirely up to you. Like my crit chance here is 78%, my crit chance here is 94%. So I could realistically drop that. I'll probably, every time I hit, I'll probably get a crit. Change it to Herald of Ice. Due to me having loads of cold damage, my Herald of Ice will probably do quite big explosions. But the problem is it could shatter it, which means then you could lose out on your power charges back. Because if it shatters enemies, it's very difficult to get the power charges. Like I say, have a play around with it. The best thing I would recommend doing is just playing around in the game, just literally changing your build. That's how you learn it. That's how you learn it. So anyway, this is the build. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any comments or anything that you recommend I should change or try out, please let me know below. And yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Stay safe.